Good afternoon and welcome back to Gulfstream Park. Thank you for joining us here on this Sunday afternoon on Gulfstream today. I'm Gabby Gaudette, joined by Ron Nicoletti. We have 12 races on tap. We had a great day yesterday, saw some very sharp performances as well. And once again, there were no live singles going into the final leg of the Rainbow Six. So we have a nice $3.8 million carryover today.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's kept there, and it's well over $4 million as the day progresses. So actually yesterday when we started talking about it, it was already over $4 million. Of course, if it's not hit with a single unique ticket, we give 70% back, and 30% goes to the next day, and that's exactly what happened. So we're sitting right around $4 million today.
And we had a lot of high-priced horses kind of finish into the trifecta in the final race there of the day. So we do have a big carryover in the first race we'll get to in a second. But do want to mention Luis Saez. Jockey Luis Saez did go down yesterday, clipping heels in one of yesterday's races. But all reports say that he's fine, but he is taking off all of his mounts this afternoon.
Taking his mounts today is just, I guess, like anyone would be, a little sore, but it was great. He went and got checked out. So should be seeing Luis back very soon.
Always very, very good to hear good news. Now, looking at today's 12-race program, we will start it all off with race 1 and look at our featured wagers and our carryovers in race 1. That rolling super high 5. We have a carryover of $24,000, and I would expect this to get the pools get very high.
Oh, it's going up. Yeah, it's going to go up there. You got to watch that. It's a great bet. You got full field here, so maybe you can hit this one and get some money for the Rainbow Six later on.
It's a fun race. It's a tricky race, though, for that particular wager. But the 50-cent early pick 5 does kick off in race 1 as well. In race 7 on this 12-race program, the 20-cent Rainbow Six, $3.8 million, as you can see right there, would approach $4 million very quickly, I would imagine. As we get to race 8, the 50-cent late pick 5 it does start in the final 5 races of the day. And well, Ron, we've got a lot of ground to cover, so we started off with race 1, and you took a look at the early pick 5, so let's see your ticket.
Well, we got a ticket today. A little tough there, and you saw just before we're going to show you my ticket. If we don't hit this thing, we're going to give it a mandatory payout next Saturday, so 26th of March. So $36. My ticket went 3 deep in here, 1, 3, and 6. 2, 2, 2, and 3. We'll see how this works out. It's not as easy as $36, but I got a good feeling with my ticket today. I want to get out of this first leg. I've got the current tepid favorite, and that's the inside horse, number 1, Lasso.
Lasso towards the inside there. Yeah, as you can see, you're using 3 horses in the first leg of the sequence. And a Lasso, again, this is a horse who just recently received a 90 Beyer speed figure, but that wasn't his best career performance. So this horse has some back races to work off of, and I think it's going to be he's going to be tough in there because he does have that inside post position. Yes, he's stepping up a little bit in class from his last race, but as I said, he's got back numbers to work off of. My only concern in here is the potential for other horses that have some speed.
Yeah, and that's why I knocked him down to the 2nd spot. But one thing we've learned over the last couple of months here, inside speed with George Navarro as the trainer with MSC El Jaramillo in the saddle. This horse is inside gas, and we've seen it over and over again, albeit this one on the turf. But dangerous in there. But we did go with the number 6, both of us on top of our ticket, and that's Gus Nato, a well-meant 2nd at this level and distance on January 3rd. Turned it back, he angled out, he finished 5th behind a pair of next out winners, and that was a level allowance test going a mile in the 16th. It was on a softened turf, listed as good. Bill Mott, Jose Lescano. I thought this horse might end up carving out that perfect stalking closing trip.
I agree. We have Lasso in here who's going to show speed. I think the 5 Street Tail should show speed to the 2-turn 7.5 furlongs. And we also have the 7 Polar Access, I think, who would kind of push horses along on the front end too. So if we could just see him sit that stalking trip, I thought it could make him very competitive in here.
Well, who else did you use?
The 2 Silver Dagger. I used that horse there in the in just a late breaking change here. The 2 will be ridden by Edgar Zayas on the 2 Silver Dagger, so take Corey Lannery off there. Larry Colmus will give you a full run of those late scratches and changes, though. Dale Romans, Corey Lannery, I thought, rode this horse to perfection last time out. He was aggressive with him. He went to the lead. He gained a little bit of confidence, but tactically he's not going to be able to do that once again today. However, I think he's just as good sitting that stalking trip.
Yeah, he just maybe stepping up a little bit in competition. addition, as we mentioned, Edgar Zayas will be in the saddle. Nothing wrong with Corey Lanner. He's on a flight back from Oaklawn Park. They should be arriving momentarily,
Momentarily,
as
hopefully
they say.
soon. We'll move on to race 2, though, on the card, a maiden special weight, a mile and a 16th on the turf course. And we have the 2 Time in Motion coming back off of the layoff last seen at the Breeders' Cup at Keeneland. And we'll go back and take a look at that replay because I thought this was a really special performance by this filly by Tappet. Obviously, she was third behind Tin Type Gal out of the Grade 3 Miss Grillo up at Belmont. But you can see her kind of angle a little bit wide, and she obviously has the shadow roll. She kind of is out of the picture here right now, but she rallies very, very nicely. And something to take note of, we saw Catch a Glimpse kind of go out on the front end, and that's how she loves to be ridden. That's how she gets her most success. But it was far and few in between that we saw horses closing from off the pace on that yielding going at Keeneland. So the fact that she did, and she was making up a lot of ground, I think this is a talented filly. Now, can she deliver off the layoff?
Well, that is always the answer here, and she's going to have to deal with a firm turf course this afternoon, which might benefit, help her. So why not? I had to put her on top of my ticket too. I went with the 6 and 7. We think it's going to be Mogdaria. This is a daughter of Malibu Moon and a full sister to Grade 1 stakes place Malibu Pier, debuting for trainer Chad Brown. Lasix Paco Lopez named to ride. This is a pretty good. We got a stat we want to show you on this horse from Chad Brown. We'll pop it up there. And it's a pretty good stat, and I'll tell you why I liked it. It was, you see, he's 28 for 136, a big sampling. He's 47% of the money, $2.77 ROI. You would think after all those starters that the ROI wouldn't be that high. That's maiden special weight, first-time starters on the turf at 1 mile or more over the last 5 years. So I just thought that was a telling stat that it was still a positive ROI.
He does have some strong numbers there with maiden special weight debuters going around of ground on the turf. The 10 Wind and Waves I thought could be one from a pedigree standpoint that could move up on the turf, getting to the turf for the first time. Josie Carroll does a great job with some of her horses transitioning from Woodbine synthetic to the Gulfstream turf. Now, sometimes I will say with a little bit of trepidation, it takes those horses maybe a start or two. We saw it with Luke's Alley, one of her really nice horses, obviously, but she's such a great conditioner. I think this filly's going to be ready off the layoff, and I like the fact that she clocks a really sharp workout at Palm Meadows, a nice turf workout to prepare off of the layoff. And from a pedigree standpoint, I do like her. You threw in the 7 Gerlin by Curlin.
Gerlin by Curlin is the daughter of Curlin, as you mentioned, stretched out to 1 mile and a 16th. Angle it out to finish 4th, her 1 mile career debut here last out. Dale Romans, Jose Lascano. I think this horse has some upside. I think this horse, I could see it grabbing part of the ticket in there with no problem. Don't know what it is on the morning line. 12 to 1. Use that one on your ticket.
Okay, race 3 on the card, 6 furlongs on the main track, a 2 other than allowance optional claimer, and the 2 Toasting Master was actually entered in yesterday, was scratched out of yesterday's card and then entered in here today. We saw Chip It come back and run. We saw Squadron A. That was the horse who did clip heels with Luis Saez. The race, I don't know if there's a lot of solid ground to stand on because Squadron A looked like he was sitting, or Luis Saez looked like he was sitting on a lot of horse before he eventually clipped heels yesterday. So Toasting Master, Brothers of the Time and Toasting Master both come out of the same race. So we'll see that replay just now. And that was on the 7th of February. Toasting Master was coming in off of a hefty layoff since early April. Brothers of the Time had a little bit of recency to his name, and maybe this horse was going backwards, and I can say that with a little bit of confidence, but he did get shuffled back a little bit. He was squeezed out, whereas the eventual winner, Brothers of the Time, had a perfect trip on the front end, going gate to wire, really uncontested. So I thought that Toasting Master had the potential to even move forward off of that last race and unfortunately getting squeezed back when he was just about to make his move. However, they're going to have to face the likes of the 3 Defer Heaven, who has a lot of speed.
Yeah, and this one is a winner of 3 straight races here, including the victory in the $50,000 Trust Buster, since he was claimed for $16,000 at Keeneland on October 21st. It's George Navarro. He's got 2 in here. He's also got Brothers of the Time, and he's got Edgar Zayas named on this 4-time local winner. So the horse likes the track. You're getting an uncoupled entry there. Got to have this horse on your ticket, Defer Heaven. If he won again, I would not be shocked at all.
I'm just curious to see if Toasting Master gets to his back speed, because this horse used to be very fast. I know that was going a route of ground, but some of his sprint races earlier in his career, he showed a lot of speed. It didn't look like Corey Lanery asked him really to go with some of the other speed in that last race, and maybe that was just because he wasn't sharpened enough to go with some of the other speeds. But if he can get to his back speed, he could give Defer Heaven a little bit of a run for his money on the front end. What is Brothers of the Time going to do on the cut back to 6 furlongs? He's going to have to prove that he can close from off the pace and catch a horse like Defer Heaven.
Yeah, well, that's the idea of the idea that I had, that he would be able to catch him because the speed will go up there, especially if a horse like number 2 Toasting Master ran really well. It was going around the ground like you mentioned in the OBS championship. This horse can maybe soften up the 3, set it up for the 4.
Okay, race 4 on the card, a 6,250 conditional claimer, a mile onto the main track. Julien Leparoux on the 2, Little Distorted, who is taking a big drop in class. Now, is this a dubious favorite? This horse is dropping from Allowance Company down to the very, very bottom today. Brian Lynch, we haven't seen him do this with a lot of horses, but he was 0 for 3 with, I looked up the stat from allowance droppers to allowance horses to lower level claimer droppers, because yes, he did drop in class last time out, but it was on the turf.
Yeah, this one is, as you mentioned, plunging to the 625 level, and it's a condition claimer facing tougher on both turf and dirt since defeating $50,000 starter competition on the muddy aqueduct surface back on December 3rd. So right there, it's a shaky pop proposition right there. So I put it on top of my ticket, but I'm a little shaky about that. And I know you went with the 3, the horse I have in second, Bowana Dance.
And Crazy Frank C should show speed from the rail, now stretching back out to the mile. Little Distorted could perhaps show speed on the drop in class, staying at the mile where he was last seen on the dirt. And Bowana Dance isn't that slow. I think if he gets off to a good start, he could potentially stalk those pace setters, and it could set up for him. Now, he did just notch his non-winners of 2 lifetime. He is 2 for 23. This is a tougher race because we do have those class droppers, so a lot of things have to go right. But sometimes you have to take a shot against a favorite that is dropping significantly in class.
Yeah, and if you look at Bowana Dance, he was odds on 6,252 lifetime winner going a mile in the 16th in the main track, 2 back. I'm going to put a line through that turf race last time out.
The 4 Hugo Light is my long shot in here, primarily because he is coming out of Open Company, so by that virtue alone, he is facing, it's a little bit easier of a class here. We see Capital City, Air Squadron, some really hard knockers at the level, and if he could duplicate his performance last time out, although it wasn't great, it was against tougher, and maybe he could pick up a little bit of slice of the pie there at a price.
A little bit wide open, that race, I would say.
Yeah, race 5 on the card, though, to cap off the early pick 5 and open 6,250 condition, a mile and a 16th on the main track. The one World Changer you land on, who I loved last time out, and I'm so happy we got 5 to 1 on him because he was coming into the race with a tremendous amount of excuses in the race prior.
Yeah, and he just drew away at a one-turn mile and walloped a field of 6,252 lifetime claimers by 5+ lengths, stepping up the competition this afternoon.
He is stepping up into a little bit of a tougher grouping. The 6 Ravello's Boy, though, first off the claim for George Navarro. Yes, it's not that much of a vote of confidence that they claimed him for $12,500 last out, and now dropping down. But we'll see the break when he was coming out of the starting gate. He was bumped at the start, and I thought that really compromised this horse. We can see him, the number 7. He is circled there, and he gets hit from both sides and has to kind of pull out of there, and has to unfortunately chase from there. He's very wide after that too, and I just thought that at the mile and a 16th, this is a horse, or even at the 7 furlongs, he wants to be a little bit closer to the pace, and we know sometimes it's hard for them to overcome once getting pounded like that out of the break.
Yeah, I mean, if a horse is tendency is to run early and he gets bopped back, you sort of like it's a good angle to show there at the, getting squeezed back at the start, maybe come back and run well in there. And Ravello's Boy actually is the morning line favorite in there, and I did not use that one. Uh-oh.
The George Navarro morning line favorite. The 3 Giant Cat, though, the other Navarro, Marcial Navarro, is coming out of a strong race too, and I do like the fact that he gets back to 2 turns.
Yeah, and he couldn't reel in Nemesis Air Squad, running back-to-back races at a mile. The new connections, they lighten the impost. They got apprentice John Cruz, so going to carry 114 pounds. We've had these 2 brothers battling out over the last couple of days. We'll see who wins it in here, but do not have George Navarro on my ticket.
Okay, race 6, a maiden $75,000 event, 7.5 furlongs onto the turf. Jose Lescano on the 9 Liberty Kitten, and this is a race where you could probably go in multiple directions. You and I both land on the 2 reimburse, though.
Yeah, this one is dropping to this high-price maiden test after returning from about a 4-month layoff to start the pace weekend late. I thought it was a stamina-enhancing performance against maiden special weight competition going a mile. Mark Cassie, Julian Leperoux, handling that turn back today to 7.5 furlongs. I like the turn back to 7.5 furlongs.
I do like the shorter distance for this filly, and I also think that she can only do better, better second off the layoff. Excuse me, that's fair.
Scared all of us. A wind blew something over there.
I think I just had a heart attack. Second off the layoff there. Not to mention, though, she was caught.
Gonna be okay now?
So, woo, that scared me. Second off the layoff, though. Not to mention, though, Ron, when she was coming in off the layoff last time out, she was caught in a very tough position chasing Heavenly View, and Heavenly View was extremely sharp that day. She kind of just drew away from the field. It was actually the filly just got to the turf for the first time for Todd Pletcher, so all those things make her very competitive. There is, however, one other horse that I think if you get a price on, you must use, and that is the 10 Atlantic Sunrise, because she came off of a November layoff. She finally got to a firmer course. Joe Bravo ultimately made the lead because nobody else wanted to go. But I don't know if this is her preferred running style. I think that she would even like more so a target in front of her. And she was going a mile and 3/16 off the layoff. I think she's got a lot of potential in here.
Yeah, we both used it. We got the same exact to drop it to this level, turn it back to 7.5, set that pace as Gabby mentioned. We can do a solid group of maiden special weight competition. The distance you mentioned, mile 3/16, Grand Motion, Paco Lopez, atop this daughter of Stormy Atlantic.
The 12 Sweet Ella. Now, we always know that Todd Pletcher, Johnny Velasquez horses get heavily bet. So I want to show this statistic if this horse does go off at a short price. The blinkers do go on the turf. Here's a stat: 2 for 20, 6 for 20 in the money, a negative ROI, first time blinkers on the turf in maiden claiming races. I thought that was kind of a surprising stat because everything that Todd Pletcher does seems to win, but this isn't a strong angle for him.
Yeah, and I'm glad that stat is up there, but if you want to use it, because I did not use the ticket, a horse on my ticket, I went with the 9 Liberty Kitten in third, who is another one from guess who? Todd Pletcher. So he's got 2 in there.
Maybe the right way to go. That's races 1 through 6. I'm going to catch my breath after that big loud noise that just happened. And we're going to come back after this break and talk about the Rainbow 6, a $3.8 million carryover right after this. Welcome back to Gulfstream today. Now I think we got a little bit of our composure here, and we'll look at the Rainbow 6 sequence. It does kick off in race 7, $3.8 million carryover today, and I came up with a ticket. Once again, couldn't really find any singles, but I did use just 2 horses in both races 9 and 11. That's the closest I could get to a single. Using 4 horses in race 8, that's just a wide open, lower level, non-winners of 3 lifetime condition. Those races races sometimes are the hardest, but just using 3 horses to start it all off. So we'll get straight to it here. Race 7, a maiden claiming event, 7.5 furlongs on the turf, in for that $35,000 tag. And this is a race where I think it kind of sticks between 3 horses, and I think you and I both agree in that you prefer the one Scarlet O'Mara.
Yeah, this one is dropping to this $35,000 level after finishing, I thought, a promising 5th behind an impressive winner. We saw this horse run the other day, Shiawashi. That was in a $50,000 maiden test going a mile. Mark Cassie, Jose Lascano, turning back to 7.5 furlongs. That race looks like that this horse comes out of. It might be a pretty good race.
Yeah, you look at maiden claimers here on the turf, and I thought that was one of the tougher ones, as we saw Shiawashi come back and face much better company and winners for the first time, and really did hold her form. So she is a filly that's been in very good form. And again, we have a couple of these horses who are second off the layoff, cutting back in distance, they make sense. You have to use them protectively as well, as do I. The 4 Venezuelan Beauty, though, now Monsieur Jaramillo in the saddle, and I thought that she could really improve better today with a kind of an inside post position. Last time out, she drew that way outside post position, had a break from post 12, and she was 7 wide going into the final turn. She was 7 wide going into the first turn, 5 wide going into the final turn. And yes, she was a big price, but I thought altogether ran a really good race. If she can save any bit of ground today, it could move her forward.
Yeah, for all the reasons you mentioned, she was 34-1 that day, and I thought she ran very well from that post number 12. And as you mentioned, Bruno Tessori is going to add MSC El Jaramillo atop this sort of Cowtown Cat.
Parting Shot did experience a little bit of early trouble. She was kind of down on the inside and had a check early under Joe Bravo. I think even had to sit down in the saddle for a couple of seconds there. So she regrouped from that and altogether ran a solid performance. And from that, I respect her as well.
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't need much improvement or for last to get the picture taken today. John Kimmel ready to door of Trap Shot for this outing. Bullet half-mile drill on the Palm Meadows turf.
Okay, race 8, 6,259 winners, a 3 lifetime condition, 7 furlongs on the main track, and this does kick off the 50-cent late pick 5, and you have a ticket.
I do have a ticket, and we'll show you here. I went 3 deep in here with 1, 5, and 8, and as Gabby mentioned, this is a wide open affair. If you're capable of going a little deep, you might want 2 deep, 2 deep. Race number 11, I went 4 deep. My long shot is in there today, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And 2 deep in race 12, $48 ticket. I couldn't find a single either. Put it that way. It's a tough sequence for me, but I got 1, 5, and 8 in this one here.
And this race could go one of 2 ways. We could see Coco's Cat, go to the lead, never look back, wire the field, or we could see Picanisa find the winner circle on the drop in class, or anybody could win.
Yeah, I mean, Coco's Cat is dropping to this level on the dirt after returning from a 2-month freshening. She really pressed the pace last time out, and they were really glib fractions of 21-3, 44-4 before, weakening from that early pressure to fade and finish 7. It was against 16 3 lifetime claimers, going 5 furlongs in the grass. Looks like the speed of the speed. Chucky Simon puts Paco Lopez on the saddle.
And maybe the drop is a little bit of a concern, because I thought she ran a good enough race against $16,000 company that maybe she deserves a little bit more than the 6250 tag that she's in. But she does have that speed, and that's always very dangerous here. Can she carry it going 7 furlongs is another concern, because 5 furlongs is much different than 7 furlongs. The 5 Picanisa is dropping down in class. Now, she ran her race, I thought, 2 starts back there against 12,500 company. She has to be respected on the class drop.
Yeah, and she's getting, as you mentioned, class relief. She facing tougher 3 sprints, and includes that 4th place finish, as you mentioned, at this distance back on February 4th. So it looks like she'll be able to handle the 7 furlongs. And then I threw the 1 Pam Pam in. You had it in 3rd. I had it in 2nd.
I also used the 6 Twist and Bake just for the first leg, or the second leg of the pick 6, because she is an unknown. Some of these other horses are already exposed, where she's never tried a fast main track before. I often don't like horses like that, but sometimes they just pop up and find the winner circle, and I think she might be one to use protectively. But the 9th race on the card, maiden 12,500 race, 5.5 furlongs onto the main track, and we have the 4 Hell to Laura dropping in class for Mike Dilger, and we have a statistic for the barn with similar class droppers, maiden claimers transitioning their form from turf to dirt. 5 for 10, 50%, 60% in the money, and still a positive ROI. There's no doubt about it. The Mike Dilger barn does a fantastic job, batting at 20% on the year. He does well with his maiden claimers. He does well with his class droppers. So this is one who I think makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and ridden today by John Velasquez and right on top of my ticket to one of the races that I went too deep in, and then I used the number one also, and you did too. We're in exact agreement here, gone deep, taking a deep drop today to this level and cutting back to 5.5, chased the pace, flattened out when facing $25,000 maidens, going 3/4 of a mile last out. Timmy Hills, Elvis Trujillo handling the inside post this afternoon.
Not to mention, Mr. Shangay was a horse who really just drew away from the rest of the field. Yes, he was beaten at a pretty short price earlier this week, but it was against much tougher company, so you have to give him the benefit of the doubt. The 9 Real Sugar is one who makes sense. If he can duplicate his last race, he should be tough, but he is facing class droppers.
Yeah, and he's got to go out there on the lead, especially from that next to the outside post.
Race 10, a maiden special weight, a mile and a 16th onto the main track. Corey Lannery on the 7, My Saving Grace. The one Privy Council should be tough here coming out of the Todd Pletcher barn, and that's who you opt for.
Yeah, that's who I opt for. Privy stretching out to a mile and a 16th. I wanted to go back and show you this horse's last performance here. And you know, he didn't get by the winner in there, but I just thought coming off that 8-month layoff that he ran well enough, that he was there, that I think he's going to improve today when he stretches out to this distance this afternoon. I thought he was pretty game in here. Like I say, coming off the layoff, John Velasquez handling his daughter of majestic perfection. This is going to be the horse's first journey around 2 turns. And I just thought off that 8-month performance, you know, got a little leg weary in the stretch, did not pass by, but I'm thinking the stretch out's going to help this horse.
Maybe that was it. Maybe she was just a little bit short there from a fitness perspective, but I was not impressed by the stretch run, and that's why I thought she was a little bit vulnerable. Now, she could improve second off the layoff. You look at the start of the race, she was bumped a little bit coming out of the gate, but she settled nicely under Javier. I didn't like how when she looked like she was going to go past the eventual winner, and when she didn't, she just completely packed it in. So maybe she can improve second off the layoff, and maybe it'll give her the ability to relax going 2 turns. But I opted for the other Todd Pletcher runner, and that's the 7, My Saving Grace. Yes, she's going to have to improve off of her debut performance, but how many horses have we seen run mediocre races at Saratoga as a 2-year-old, come back as a 3-year-old here in South Florida for Todd Pletcher and really improve? Not to mention that was a tough race. We saw Tap to it. She was second in the spin away, but did not run her race in the Margate coming off the layoff of Ralph Nix.
Yeah, so, yeah, one of the 2 horses in the race for Todd Pletcher. I was going the other way. I just thought off that performance, I thought because of the layoff, going back to the 1 Privy Council, that she was going to move forward today.
She could. The 4 Gauche was one who, that was a sneaky horse in that race, because I was thinking to myself, now on the stretch out to 2 turns, she's going to show speed, and Paco Lopez just kind of milked it as long as he could on the front end, and unfortunately was beaten by Mo Green. Mo Green looks like a horse who has a lot of potential in there, so I think you still have to respect this filly.
Yeah, and this horse that you're talking about goes just boasts right now a 5-furlong bullet drill at Palm Meadows. You mentioned that race against Mo Green. Kelly Breen has a Paco Lopez. It's a $200,000 daughter of Smart Strike. I think this horse is going to run exceptionally well in this spot.
He very well could show that speed again and perhaps steal the race today. The 11th race on the card as we move on, though, an allowance optional claiming event, 7.5 furlongs on the turf, and I believe we might have a replay. Yes, we'll go back to Skokie and Tasunki and look at the stretch run of this race, and we could see the number 2 horse Skokie, who was the winner but was disqualified. Kind of erratic throughout the stretch.
Yeah, I just wanted to show this part. See, come over here and have to, you know, put the brakes on Tasunki. You see the 3 in there, and just had to slow down at that time. And I just thought that was enough to course this horse the race. So I flip-flopped those 2 selections today. I don't know how you went in this race, and I went with Tasunki on top. I was hoping for clear sailing through the stretch, having to steady. Went 3rd. You just saw it there. Todd Pletcher, John Velasquez, Soki. Could have kept a straight course, could have won it, did win it, you know, but had to be taken down.
Well, that was the thing. I didn't know if she was not staying a straight course because Paco was trying to get, you know, aggressive with the closer on the inside. Was she getting a little bit leg weary?
Right.
Can she duplicate that performance? I don't know. I thought, and I agree with you, I thought Tasunki has a little bit more potential in here, even working off of her back races against Allowance Company. I thought that was a solid race. Now, Johnny V is aboard. Hopefully she can get a clear trip. But I got a Wise Guy horse to the inside. And
My long shot today.
Oh, that is.
Yeah.
The one, Loves Illusion.
So we're thinking alike.
I like the cutback with this
Yeah.
horse. I do. I think the cutback is going to be really promising for her. And not to mention, she faced a very tough field. We saw Spring Spirit, Al Cazalia come back and win that race. And she looks like one that just prefers a firmer course. Now, where she's going to sit in the flow of the race is the big question. Because sometimes she shows speed. Sometimes she can be tactically positioned. And sometimes she shows no speed at all.
Well, she's 12-1 in the morning line, and what I liked about it after that last performance, you look at her last couple of works up at Palm Meadows, I thought they were really good workouts, and I just think she's got to get that trip from the rail in there. You know, good connections. Nick Juarez in the saddle this afternoon. I think this horse, you know, you can go different ways. I did make this horse my long shot and ticket, added it to my late pick 5 ticket, so I'm glad we're in agreement with one of the horses. That's going to be a square price.
I must bet there then. Loves Illusion, your long shot. One final horse though, the 11 Mozambique Gold. The barn, I was looking at some of the horses that the barn brings back off of really significant layoffs like this 180-plus day layoffs, and the barn is 0 for 5, but all of those horses have been allowance-type horses, some even stakes horses, and they've all run fourth. I thought that was crazy. All of them, all 5 of them ran fourth. So it's not like they really were disappointing. They actually outran their odds coming in off the layoff. So this is a horse that if you go back to that race in April here locally, she's proven herself locally. She was second behind Stormy Regatta, who put in a big race. She is a grade 3 place turf horse too. So that's kind of another long shot that I'll throw in there too.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. And ridden today by Edgar Prado.
And race 12, the final race of the weekend here on this Sunday program, a maiden $25,000 race, 5 furlongs onto the turf, and the 10, Loud and Lovely, 6 to 5 on the morning line.
Yeah, break from the outside. That's post 10. After returning from a layoff to finish second at this level and distance, Jamie Ness is the trainer. Vincente Gudiel atop this daughter of Maimonides. Didn't know about that price on the morning line. I just thought this horse was okay, not an odds-on choice.
And I agree with you. I think she could, if she runs back to her last race, she'll be there. But if you get that kind of a price on her, I would never single her in the Rainbow Six or the Pick
no
5.
way.
So I think it gives you the opportunity to maybe search for some others to just protect yourself in those multi-race sequences. But Jamie Ness, he does a great job with his turf sprinters. So at the same time, you got to respect the connections. The 7, Tethila Combe, is one I'll use last time out for trainer Brian Baker. This, if you watch this filly going into the first turn, she was completely out of control going into the first turn. Perhaps she was just that fast. I know it's not a long run into the first turn, but she was about 10 wide going in the first turn, out of control. Once she finally settled under Rafael Hernandez, she kind of came in a little bit, but she was just running off the entire time. It gives me the inclination that she is through and through a 5 furlong turf sprinter. You look at her back races against tougher company and at Gulfstream Park West, upper level maiden claimers, she should be right there, sitting right in the pocket. However, you should still be able to get a good price just because of low profile connection.
Yeah, and 8 to 1 on the morning line. The other horse I used was the 5, and that was Lady Red Love. Daughter put it back, Antonio Sano, and pretty wide open affair the last race.
Even the 9, Taylor Prezzelli, I thought ran a pretty decent race last time out for Louis Duco. She needs a hot pace, though, in order for her to do her best running, I think. But we'll see if she does get that pace. There's a couple of first-time starters and a couple other horses who showed speed last out.
Yeah, and Taylor Prezzelli was 59 to 1 last time out, finishing 4th behind the big favorite in there, and that's Loud and Lovely.
I think I might have liked her at a big price that day, too, and she definitely outran her odds. So that's all you can hope for sometimes in those 5 furlong turf sprints. That's races 1 through 12, though. And the Rainbow Six $3.8 million carryover does start in today's 7th race. If it is not hit, it'll continue on, and we will have a mandatory payout on March 26th next Saturday. But we also do have a carryover in that rolling super high 5.
It just started now. When we came on the air, it was 24,000. You watch that, that'll go up, and that's a great bet, and it's a $1 wager. Maybe you can get some early coin to help you out today.
Yeah, Yeah, dive in early, get some money, and then you continue on for the rest of the 11 races. Larry Colmus is getting mad. He wants us to stop talking so he can start talking. So we're done. Thank you for joining us here on Gulfstream today. We're going to take a quick break, but we'll be back through those races 1 through 12. Best of luck on today's Sunday card.
Our day begins early, preparing for the task ahead, focused on a single goal. Then